'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So it's that time of the year again. Award season is coming to a close with the Oscars in just a couple weeks. I am going to be discussing what my picks are for all the awards except for some of the short films and some other categories where I haven't seen enough to really contribute to that conversation. But I will be giving my opinions on most of the categories, as well as I think what will win the award, as well as what I think is my favorite as well. So let's just jump into this because there's a lot of categories to talk about. So we're going to jump right in with Best Original Screenplay. So for our nominees for Best Original Screenplay, we have Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and The Worst Person in the World. So, unfortunately, I have not had a chance to see The Worst Person in the World yet, but the rest of these I have seen. Belfast is quite good, Kenneth Branagh. Don't Look Up, it's a screenplay, alright. I'm not sure about that one. King Richard and the Licorice Pizza. Interesting selection here. I honestly don't believe the screenplay is the best part about any of these. If I had to give it to one of them, I would give it to Kenneth Branagh because I feel like that's a story that he feels very passionate about and it's very connected to him. So I would give it to Belfast. I think that the Academy will also give it to Belfast. I think Don't Look Up as a screenplay is a bit all over the place. It's okay, and it's really showing what it's going for. King Richard is good, and Licorice Pizza, I don't think that the screenplay is really what that movie is about. It's a very hangout kind of movie, and I get, like, screenplay is important in those kind of movies as well. But for a hangout type movie, the screenplay is, like, almost non-existent, and it feels more like characters just hanging out, and that's great, but screenplay is not where that shines. And like I said, The Worst Person in the World could get it, absolutely could get it, but I have not seen it, unfortunately. So I'm going to give it to Belfast, both for me and the Academy. For writing for Best Adapted Screenplay, we have Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog. Now, of course, I have seen all of these. Drive My Car, is a story about a screenwriter, so that makes a lot of sense why that's here. Dune, phenomenal. I don't know if that's gonna have it because this is half of a story, but adapting a dense novel like that is insane that it's able to translate this well. The Lost Daughter is pretty good as well. Power of the Dog, I think the screenplay and the acting of that movie is really where it shines as a whole, so that has a good shot. In Coda as well. I think Coda and The Lost Daughter have the least shot here. I don't think there's anything super duper special about the screenplays of those. Not to say that they're bad, they're great, but compared to the other three, I feel like those are the fourth and fifth spot. I would give it to Dune because of the troubles of adapting that kind of dense source material into a very accessible way. This movie is still very dense, but you can watch it without having to have read the book and needing all this prior information, and you can still enjoy it. Like, I didn't know anything about going in, and I thoroughly enjoyed it the whole time. I don't think Dune's going to win. I do think it's either going to be Drive My Car or The Power of the Dog. I think it's going to be The Power of the Dog. That wouldn't be my pick. I would put Drive My Car above it, but I think The Power of the Dog is going to win. I think Jane Campion's going to win. Next up, we have visual effects, which is one of the most fun categories to talk about, I think, because we get a lot of blockbusters and really fun movies in there. So the nominees are Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Having Free Guy in there is a really interesting pick. I really didn't think the visual effects were that great in that movie, but hey, a lot of Oscar voters did, and that's great. No Time to Die is excellent. And again, you wouldn't think about the visual effects as much in a movie like that, but they really do look great. And that movie is great. Now, the two Marvel films, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man No Way Home, both look great as well. But they're fighting against Dune. This is Dune's category to lose. I would pick Dune. The Academy is going to pick Dune. Dune has this one in the bag. It's one of the surest bets I have. If Spider-Man gets it, that's crazy out of left field. Dune has it. If Free Guy gets it, Dune, it's Dune. Moving on to sound. Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. Now, of course, West Side Story, musical, sounds very important. Excellent stuff there. Power of the Dog, interesting. I do not think sound is where this movie shines. Again, I said acting and screenwriting, absolutely. Sound, not so much. No Time to Die, again, a movie that kind of snuck under my radar. While I loved it, I wouldn't hoist it as one of the best of the year in any certain category. But yes, the sound is great in that movie. Belfast, sound is good when it needs to be. There's not a lot of really intense showcase sound moments, but when it's there, it is really great. Again, on a technical level, this is Dune's category to lose as well. I think Dune is the best here, and I do think that Dune will be voted as well. So that's 2 for 2 for Dune. I don't think the rest of these really have a shot. The next closest would be West Side Story, but I honestly, again, feel like Dune has this one in the bag. Next up, we're going with production design. So the nominees are Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. So for production design, Dune is great in this. I'm not going to go 3 for 3 with Dune here. Dune is fantastic in how the whole thing kind of blends together. All the different set pieces, it all works very well. Nightmare Alley is great, especially in the first third. Nightmare Alley is phenomenal in the production design department. Power of the Dog, very dirty, gritty kind of Western. Everything feels very sweaty. Everything feels very dusty, so it really works there. Tragedy of Macbeth. For me, honestly, the production design looks like how you would think a Macbeth movie should look. Those birds, though. I guess that's why it's not visual effects. West Side Story, it feels straight out of the 60s. That is such a 60s movie made last year. It's crazy how much it feels of its time, but also feels modern at the same time. So for me, I would pick either Nightmare Alley or West Side Story just because of how incredible the first third of Nightmare Alley is. I would go with Nightmare Alley. Guillermo del Toro and his team really put something special together there. That whole carnival. Wow. After it leaves it, it's not as good. But, wow, is that something to see, to feel. Ugh, it's gross just thinking about it. West Side Story, though, I'm going to give that the Academy pick because it's great. And it is great. And I'm split on, so I'm going to split the vote here. I'm going to go with Nightmare. Academy's going to pick West Side Story. And now we are into actor in a supporting role. I'm sorry if I butcher any names. Please feel free to yell at me. Ciarán Hinds for Belfast. Troy Kotsur in Coda. Jesse Plemons in The Power of the Dog. J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos. And Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog. So, like I was saying, Power of the Dog is the best in its acting. And it really shows having 2 in this category. Ciarán Hinds for Belfast, I think he's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's, well, let me say it like that. Trying to be mean here. I don't think he's the best of the 5. Troy Kotsur as well, very good. And J.K. Simmons is good in that role. I don't think that movie lends itself very well to big, flashy performances or anything of that kind of nature, but he is a standout in that movie. But I think it comes down to The Power of the Dog here. I think they're going to at least have one win for sure with this one. Jesse Plemons is great, but Cody Smith-McPhee really showcased what he's capable of. I would give it to him. I think the Academy's going to give it to him as well. And then on to actor in a leading role. We have Javier Bardem in Being the Ricardos. Benedict Cumberbatch in The Power of the Dog. Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom. Will Smith with King Richard. And Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth. So Denzel playing Macbeth. Shakespeare is a really hard thing to do well. And it's a Shakespeare adaptation. And he's very good in it. I think it's a very, obvious pick. Even if he wasn't great, which he is. It's a very obvious pick to be here. Javier Bardem and Being the Ricardos. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Benedict Cumberbatch, Power of the Dog really shining in its acting prowess. He's really good in that as well. Andrew Garfield had one heck of a year. And I didn't love Tick, Tick, Boom, but honestly, I thought he really escaped into that. All of his performances this year, he really escaped into who he was. Will Smith, though, also, that was something great. So, I'm a little split again. I'm going to go personally. I think Andrew Garfield should win for Tick, Tick, Boom. I think Will Smith will win for King Richard. I think a lot of people are saying Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm saying Will Smith. I think he was an early frontrunner, and I think he hasn't lost any momentum. I think he is the best. and I think the Academy will do it. But personally, I think Andrew Garfield should win because of all the things he did this year. But I mean, you can't really do that. It's all on one performance. But that's just my personal opinion on that one. Now we're off to actress in a supporting role. We go with Jessie Buckley in The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose in West Side Story, Judi Dench in Belfast, Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog, Aunjanue Ellis in King Richard. Again, if I mispronounced any of these, please feel free to yell at me. Aunjanue Ellis in King Richard is great. I think Will Smith really shines over most people in that movie. Jessie Buckley in Lost Daughter, I unfortunately don't really even remember her performance that well. I remember Olivia Colman quite well, but I don't remember Jessie Buckley in that movie. So I guess that really doesn't bode well for my vote there. Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog, she is really good. Like I said, that movie is dependent on its acting power, and she is great in that. Judi Dench in Belfast is, Judi Dench is amazing. She's in Belfast for not very long, but she does leave an impression. And Ariana DeBose, I think, really showed up for a role that has won an Academy Award in the past. I would pick her, absolutely. I think the Academy might pick her as well, because of that legacy. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go double down on Ariana DeBose. Now we go with actress in a leading role. Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart in Spencer. Eyes of Tammy Faye, Parallel Mothers, Being the Ricardos. 3 movies and The Lost Daughter, honestly. 4 movies I wasn't a huge fan of. They all had their showcases, and they all were pretty good. None of them were bad. They're all worth viewing. Just looking at it as a whole, I didn't love any of those movies. I did love Spencer, though. And I will say, because of Kristen Stewart's performance in that, I am 100% saying I want her to win this. That is my pick by a long shot. However, I think Nicole Kidman's going to win. There's just a part of me that's saying, Being the Ricardos is being nominated for pretty much just acting stuff. And Nicole Kidman's a huge name, and she's great. And no disrespect to Nicole Kidman, but like I said, I don't love that movie, but I feel like she's going to win. There's just a part of me that's saying Nicole Kidman's going to be given that Oscar. I think Kristen Stewart should get it, absolutely, but I feel like Nicole Kidman's going to be the one walking home with it. Next up, we have Best Animated Feature Film. We have Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. Disney shows up every year. Pixar shows up. We have our off-the-wall picks. The Mitchells vs. the Machine is an interesting pick. Flea is another good pick as well. I don't think those, unfortunately, have a chance in competing against Disney. Raya, I don't think should be here. I think that there are plenty of other animated films that came out last year. The new Ethan Kelly, and there was no way that was going to get nominated. Luca is my favorite, so I'll pick it on personal prowess alone. Encanto's going to win. Encanto's 100% going to win, and well deserved. Moving on to cinematography, we have Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. Now, all these are very good-looking movies. Going off it immediately, I think the 2 standouts are West Side Story and Dune again. I would pick Dune. I think the Academy is going to pick West Side Story. Simple as that. No disrespect on Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and Tragedy of Macbeth, but I think those 2 are the front runners, and I think that's how it's going to fall. We're on to costume design. We have Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see Cyrano yet. It's been tweeted as a 2022 release. I don't know what's up with that. It didn't get a wide release for a while into the new year. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see it. Cruella is a costume designer, or just a fashion designer in that movie, so that's interesting. Unfortunately, my favorite film of the year would have lent itself really well to this category, but it's fine. Nightmare Alley, fantastic. West Side Story is fantastic. Dune, also fantastic. I think I'm going to go Nightmare Alley. Both me and the Academy are going to go with Nightmare Alley, I think. The first third of that movie, the characters they have, and then the next 2 thirds, the costume design is fantastic. Just the way it all fits together in that world, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Best Director, we have Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion of The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. What a great group, honestly. Power of the Dog is my least favorite, say it bluntly. Ranking from bottom to top, and what I think should win this, Jane Campion I don't think should win. Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm not a huge fan of his movies. They're just not for me. I respect them beyond belief, but they just never, hit me the way they hit other people. I think most people would agree that this isn't his best work. Kenneth Branagh surprised us all. Ryusuke Hamaguchi also a surprise. But one of the greatest of all time is here. And he directed a movie that a lot of people, myself included, really, really liked. So I'm going to say Steven Spielberg. I got a feeling the Academy might not agree with me. And they'll go weird. I'm going to say, part of me says Paul Thomas Anderson's going to win Best Director. Just because, I don't know, Steven Spielberg has been nominated so many times and hasn't won. I hope he does, but I got a feeling he won't be, unfortunately. Best Documentary Feature Film. I haven't seen most of these. I've only seen Flea and Summer of Soul. I haven't seen Ascension, I haven't seen Attica, and I haven't seen Riding with Fire. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I have enough to say about this category. I think Summer of Soul. I like Summer of Soul more than I like Flea, and I think the Academy does as well. So I'll go with that. Okay, Best Film Editing. We have Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, and Tick, Tick, Boom. Don't Look Up, I don't think should be here. To be blunt, I don't think it's even very good in the editing department, but hey, it's here and we gotta deal with it, so it's fine. Dune, fantastic, everything technically. King Richard is pretty good, Power of the Dog is pretty good, Tick Tick Boom is really good. I'm gonna say Dune for both me and the Academy on that one as well. Best International Feature Film. Again, I've only seen 2 films here. I've only seen Drive My Car in Denmark. But that being said, Drive My Car is nominated for something pretty big later on, so I feel like Drive My Car has it, and I liked it more than Flea. So I'm going to say me and the Academy are for Drive My Car. Okay, Makeup and Hairstyling. We have Coming to America, Cruella, Dune, In the Eyes of Tammy Faye, and House of Gucci. I mean, House of Gucci, there's some makeup and hairstyling going on. Coming to America, all of these, honestly. Eyes of Tammy Faye, they looked completely different. Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield look wildly different. It's interesting. Coming to America and Cruella. Cruella makes sense as well. I think those two are very flashy, and I think that makes it interesting. I would go with Eyes of Tammy Faye, honestly. I think House of Gucci is going to win. It's a film about high fashion, so it makes sense that makeup and hairstyling works well. Best Original Score, we have Don't Look Up, Dune, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, and The Power of the Dog. Dune. I think Dune. I think the Academy thinks Encanto. Dune really shook me to my core. Encanto is a lot more fanciful and flavorful and more fun to listen to. Dune straight up rocked me to the center, and I think that has it. Best Original Song. We have Be Alive from King Richard, Dos Oranguitas from Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days. I mean, Beyonce got nominated for Be Alive, but James Bond, got a pretty good track record. I'm going to go with No Time to Die. I loved that song the first time I heard it. Hearing it in the theaters really brought a tear to my eye because it had been so long since I first heard it till then. And it really hit me. It's like, wow, we're finally here. So for me, I think it's fantastic. On the Academy side, it's a James Bond film. Bond has a pretty good track record. I'm going to go with that one. And finally, for Best Picture, we have Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. So, let's knock off the bottom here first. Did not like Don't Look Up very much, so let's toss that one out. The Power of the Dog, Belfast, both have their high points, but I don't think they're the best of the year. Coda as well, very pleasant film, very enjoyable watch. I didn't love it as much as other people do. Please check it out if you haven't already. I feel like a lot of people are passing that one up. Drive My Car has an off-the-chance shot kind of like what Parasite did. Parasite was much more praised than Drive My Car was going in, but it does have that off-the-wall factor going for it. Licorice Pizza and Nightmare Alley, again, a lot of people like those movies. I'm more mixed on them. Nightmare Alley, I think if it kept the same feeling that the first third did, absolutely would be one of the top contenders for me, but it falls off after the first act, unfortunately. Licorice Pizza never grabbed me as much, and I think there are some elements of that film that I just don't like straight up. So that leaves us Dune and West Side Story. My pick is Dune. You know, I've been pretty clear my love for Dune. It was pretty high on my best of the year list. It's the highest film that I rated that is on the list, so pretty much if I don't go for it, I'm kind of a hypocrite there. West Side Story is great as well. I didn't see that before making my list. That might have made my list, but it wouldn't have been higher than Dune. I'm going to say Dune. Like I said, I think the Academy will say West Side Story. I think Steven Spielberg, I think it has that name recognition. I think that we haven't had a musical in a while, and I think that this just works as that old Hollywood feel, and I think that a lot of people are looking for that, and I think the Academy is definitely looking for that. Those are my picks for who I think are going to win the Oscars coming up. What do you guys think about my choices? Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know what you guys are going to pick, and let me know down below. Thank you so very much for watching, and as always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.